Grab those bins of fabric scraps, get yourself some Heat and Bond Ultra Hold, a glue gun, some sticks, and we are going to be ready to go. Who is ready to make super easy, no-sew pinwheels for the 4th of July or any summer event? It is so easy, and it is a great way to use up your fabric scraps. For each pinwheel, you need 2 pieces of fabric, one that will be the inside, one that will be the outside / the back, the one that folds over, and a square of Heat and Bond Ultra that is just slightly smaller than each piece of fabric. Now, this is wonderful because not only is this a great way to use up fabric scraps, it is also a great way to use up scraps of Heat and Bond if you use that product. I took some Heat and Bond that I had left over from another project, and I did cut one square pretty big. This is about 7.5 by 7.5, and this one is going to be blue and white. And then I just cut these to whatever size they were. So this little guy is made out of 2.5-inch squares of fabric and a 2.25-inch square of Heat and Bond. You just want to make sure that none of that adhesive ends up on your iron. So I always cut it slightly smaller than my squares. So you can do any size you want. If you have little remnants of this hanging around, cut them into squares, cut some fabric squares to go with them, and let's get started. The first step is to iron this Heat and Bond adhesive in between the 2 pieces of fabric. So you're going to take your first fabric, doesn't matter which one, put it wrong side up, place your Heat and Bond in the center, heat your iron to medium, no steam, and then you're just going to press about 2 seconds. If you've pre-washed your fabric, you don't want to use any fabric softener. You want it to be stiffer. We want to let that cool before we pull the paper off. Could use a quilter's clapper, but I don't have one with me, so I'm going to use my hands and just swing it around. Now I'm just going to peel the paper off so that the other side of the Heat and Bond adhesive shows. You can kind of see that it's shiny. Now we're going to put our second piece right side up. So we're making a sandwich. Now we're going to press over that about 2 seconds to adhere that together. I'm going to do the other sizes while we let that cool. So here's a smaller one. Now you'll notice I'm not worried about these being frayed because I like to trim them after I've made a Heat and Bond sandwich so that we have nice crisp edges. Now we are done with our ironing board and it's time to trim our squares. I'm just going to trim these so that the edges are nice and crisp and the Heat and Bond is all the way to the edge, but we didn't risk having any of it go onto our iron. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to decide which fabric you want to be what I call the inside, so the side you see on the points, and which side you want to be the outside, or the side that flips into the center and that you will see on the back. Since we already have this one with the red on the inside, I'll do this one with the blue on the inside. Then we'll do the red on the inside. The next step, you can use a pen or a pencil, and you're going to draw a line in both directions. And where that line intersects right here is the center. So that is where everything's going to be folded into and where you'll do your corner to corner you want to put as your little decoration to cover the glue. I'm going to use my smaller scissors, just a little more precise of a point, and I'm going to go about 1/2 inch from the center. This one is 3.25 inch square once I trimmed it. And then this one, about 1/4 inch from the center. Okay, now it is time to glue. And I like to use tweezers, or you could use the end of a skewer or a dowel rod that you're going to use to press each of these down instead of using my finger. It's going to make it hold a little bit better, and then you're also not going to burn your fingers by getting hot glue on there. Once your glue gun is heated up, you're going to take it and you're just going to put a little dot of glue in the center, and then you're going to fold one of these points up and bring it in. Then I'm going to use the tweezers to push down until that glue hardens. If you put your finger on it, you're going to get a lot of hot glue on your finger, and it's going to also make it a little bit messier. Now we're going to do the same thing for all 4 points, and you're going to pull every other point into the center. You do need to hold that down long enough for the hot glue to set. Then it's kind of messy in the center, so I'm just going to put another dab of glue, and I'm going to add a button. Now with hot glue, you always get some of these little flyaways. So you're just going to pull those off. If you end up with any threads coming off with that, you can just trim those. But there is our 3 1/4 inch square turned into a pinwheel. Now we'll do another small one. Then you can just decide what you want to glue them to. This is a nice size dowel rod for this. So I'm going to put some hot glue on there, and then I'm just going to attach it to the back. So that one is ready. Now these smaller ones you could put on these shorter sticks. These would be really cute in plants. Put them in the yard, put them in flower pots. I'm going to put them all on the sticks. It's pretty long for this tiny pinwheel. So I'm going to take regular scissors, not my fabric scissors, and I'm just going to cut this to whatever size I want. So that looks more proportionate to me. So then I can just use this other one for the second one, and I'm going to cut the sharp end off. And you can decide how you want the stick to come out. You'll see this one is parallel to the line of the pinwheel, and this one is coming out basically in the center of the fold. So it looks like the wind has taken this one a little bit differently than this one. This one's actually a little bit floppy. Well, I guess 7 1/2 is too long for the Heat and Bond. You would need to use something stronger. All right, so with the Heat and Bond Ultra, I wouldn't use a square that is larger than 5 to 5 1/2 inches so that it is going to hold its shape when you lift it. Isn't that fun? So quick and easy. Now I just need to decide where I'm going to put them. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more fun sewing, quilting, and no-sew fabric projects.